Hey everybody, how's it going? How's it going? So we are today going around the house and I'm cleaning the house. It needs a little cleanup, so I'm moving everything around, sweeping, mopping, and doing the whole shebang. So that is what I'm doing this morning. I'll see you after I do some more of that kind of work. Now that the living room is cleaned up, it's time to get some trash. Trash time. All right, done with the trash. It's all gone. We're back home. Even though it's winter time, I can just feel spring in the air. It's coming real quick. So today I'm gonna sort through some of my seed starting equipment. Haven't gotten it out in a little while because in high school I did a community supported agriculture project where I was doing a summer garden all the way through the spring, summer, fall, selling those fruits and vegetables in bushel quantities, in half bushel and quarter bushels. And I was supplying multiple different families. Some of those families were kind of big, so they ate a lot. But I was growing all kinds of good stuff for those folks. Sorry, I'm just cleaning up over here, trying to get my seed starting stuff out. And but that was a wonderful experience. Just getting to grow an assortment of all kinds of fruits and vegetables. And during that time, I learned all about how to order your seeds. How to order your seeds to where you have all the seeds you need for that year, and also how to work with like heirloom seeds. And in that process I learned about F1 hybrids and heirlooms and open pollinated and all those different terms that were like, what in the world is that before? And guess what, folks, this is the time of year to be getting your seeds. This whole garden right here is just primed and ready for my spring garden. That's one of the aspects you got to be doing right now, is getting your soil ready. One thing we can be doing right now in January, February, even March is preparing your soil. Really get your soil ready. That's what I've been working on mostly recently. But the next step is going to be choosing the seeds. What seeds am I going to buy this year to be able to grow all kinds of good veggies that I specifically want to grow. Grab this bucket here. Folks, now is the time. Right now is the time to be choosing those seeds and those vegetables that you are going to want to be growing in this growing year coming up. I want to help you be able to make that decision process more streamlined, because you can spend hours and hours on seed catalogs, order a whole bunch of seeds, and you only end up using about 10 to 20% of them. I'll be giving you some suggestions in the next videos on the seed companies that I really prefer. But for today, let's cover the 5 main steps that I use to be able to determine what plants, what seeds to buy in the next growing year. While we're talking, I'll be getting my seed starting stuff. I'll wash it off, give it a good clean, get it ready. Alright, y'all, gonna try to keep this streamlined and short to make this a quick process for you so you can get right to choosing your seeds and getting those ordered. Actually, an interesting fact is that this year we have kind of a shortage of seeds because this past year with coronavirus, everybody was home, everybody was like, I want to have a garden, so all of a sudden all these seeds are all bought up. Oh, I'm getting a call. I'll get that in a second. And we don't have as much supply, so really we need to be kind of diligent and quick on the draw to get our seeds this year. First step is to go through the seeds that you already have and figure out, when they were used last, what kind of date they have on them. Do they need to be replaced, thrown away? Sometimes I like to just take seeds that I don't really know when they were last used. And a lot of times I'll just have an area of the garden where I just broadcast those and rake them in, kind of see what they do, just so I don't throw them away, Kind of want them to go to some kind of use. Go through your old seeds, figure out the ones that you want to keep, what you have already, and how viable it is. And that will help you determine what you need for this next growing year. Number 2 is you gotta choose the plants you're gonna actually eat. Think about your diet throughout the year and which plants that you normally, and which kind of vegetables you normally actually eat. And then from there, decide on what you're actually gonna grow, because those top 5 or 10 veggies are really where you're gonna be utilizing the most in your kitchen. So I would make a list of 5 to 10 vegetables like tomatoes, onions, cucumbers, whatever you really love. And make that list. You want those. Let's get them back in there, dry them off. They're ready for whenever it's soil block making time. Happy to see those strawberries are coming on good. As soon as spring hits, they're gonna be growing like crazy. Just set them here, let them dry out. This is my heat mat to make sure the soil condition, warmth is warm enough, and then usually I use these first as all the little starters, and then we graduate those. Once we pop those out and the little seedlings are germinated, we move them over to the 1-inch soil blocks. And then lastly, so for some of like the tomatoes and bigger crops, I'll use this big guy for some bigger blocks. I'm gonna go ahead and get some of this compost all sifted out, just using one of these crates, and I'll just grab some. It's nice and decomposed, so I'm just basically filtering out what I don't want, getting the smaller pieces. Got another filter in there that I'll use for the second time. But I like to do all this out here on top of the compost pile so that, you know, it just goes back on to the, you know, these bigger chunks, they just go back in. Alright, so number 3 is you want to determine what kind of plants you want to be growing. There's multiple types, but I'll just talk about 3. You've got F1 hybrids, and then you have open pollinated, and then you have heirloom. There's actually multiple types of GMO. There is transgenic, and then there's just, you know, modified through plant breeding. Now, I personally think that plant breeding is okay. So that's basically you're taking one plant that you really like, another plant you like, and you're putting them together, and you're keeping back the seed that you want to keep back. You keep back the plants that did well, basically. Next one up. So I like plant breeding, but when it comes to transgenic, so like transgenic, I'm not too keen on that, because that's like you're taking animal DNA and putting it into plant DNA, and that's just doesn't seem right to me. So transgenic's not good, but GMO just means genetically modified organism, and technically all organisms are modified. So because if there's any kind of sexual reproduction, so like a flower from over here and a flower from over here cross-pollinate, that's sexual reproduction. There's going to be different DNA that's coming from that, and so that's how plants have adapted over time. And they've been able to, you know, the survival of the fittest kind of thing. So the plants that were adapted to those areas did well. Open pollination is where you have all these plants, they all cross-pollinating, and then you're saving back the seed from those exact plants. So the DNA is going to be very similar, but it's not going to be exact for every single plant. Now, heirloom seeds are actually just a type of open pollinated seeds. Heirloom seeds are an open pollinated variety that has been around for years and years, oftentimes centuries. And people were like, hey, I really like this seed. It does well in this area. It's really hardy. It's disease resistant. It's pest resistant. So farmers save back those seeds, and that's where you get the heirloom seeds. I really like heirloom seeds. I especially like heirloom seeds that are from my actual area. So that's what I'm looking for, is I want to get seeds that are adapted to this area of Knoxville even. When you can do that, that's the best. Only way to do that is really to go to farmers nearby who have been saving back seed, and that's pretty rare. But doesn't mean you can't look for it. F1 hybrids are basically you take two plants that are doing well and you put them together and you cross-pollinate, and there's something called hybrid vigor. That hybrid vigor is coming from those two different plants coming together, and then their offspring are not going to be able to reproduce, so like it's sterile. So if you buy a hybrid seed, that means you're going to have to buy seed next year. You can't save seed back from hybrids. But a lot of times they have a lot of benefits and they grow real good. I'm definitely not against doing hybrids, because those are not transgenic. They're not taking animal DNA and bringing it into a plant. So determine what you feel about all that, because honestly the DNA of the plants we eat does affect our health. So you determine what you believe on that and then order accordingly. Alright, number 4 is you're going to want to determine how many seeds, how much seeds you're going to need for your garden. So get a square footage of your garden, of your space you're growing, or if it's your pots, you know, get an idea of the amount of space. And then from there, it really is helpful to have a plan for your whole garden. Like a whole set out plan to where you know, here's the rows here of this type of plant. And just get an idea of how much is to be planted. A lot of times the seed packets will tell you approximately how many seeds are in each packet. And you can use that and the spacing between the plants to determine how many seed packets you need. I always like to err on the too much side, the excess side, so get too many seeds, that way you have enough. And of course, if you grow too much of something, you can always give that away or feed it to your animals. That stuff doesn't have to go to waste around the garden. See all these little pieces that I'm not using for seed starting? Boom, they're not going to waste at all. Hey girl. Hey, we got Cream here. Come here, girl. Cream. She's not too sure about the compost. Here, girl. Hey. Good girl. Hey, how you been doing, girl? Yeah, she's doing good. Alright, that was number 4. And number 5, the last but not least, you have to figure out where you're going to get the seeds. Where in the world are you going to get those seeds? That is going to have to be another video coming up. I'm going to give you all a list of the places that I like to get seeds, but I'm sure you know of some already. If you do, please pop them in the comments and other people can read what it is that y'all use, the different companies and all that. There you go, folks. That is it. We have all kinds of good sifted material here now that we'll be using later for starting up those seeds. I'll be starting seeds in February, so got January to get ready. Please feel free to post into the comments any questions you have about, what kind of seeds to get and all that good stuff. I know it's kind of tricky sometimes, and that's why I'm here, to try to make that process more streamlined, more fun, and more exciting. It definitely does not need to be a stressful scenario. Right. Hope you have a good day, girl. See this? What do you think of that? She's like, that's dirt, buddy. I want some food. Just running around having fun. Alright, yeah, that's some nice and sifted material. Good stuff. Just having a good time. Peat moss is good stuff. Yeah, I'll use that as a mixture later on. Alright, let's see if we can run through those 5 real quick. We got number 1 is we want to make sure that what we have already, the seeds we have, are going to be viable, they're going to be useful, and the types of plants that we want to actually plant. Number 2, choose a list of 5 to 10 plants that are really something you're going to be eating a lot of and really loving. Make sure you have that list, and so you know exactly the main plants you're going to be eating. And then number 3, think about F1 hybrids and heirloom and open pollinated and GMO. Figure out what you personally are okay with and what kind of plants you want to buy and be growing and eating. And then number 4, you know approximately how many seeds you want to get. Think about your space and the distances and how many seeds are in each packet. Just do some math there to figure out, if you have the amount of seeds and how many to get. Always make sure and get more than you think. And then last but not least is where to get those seeds. Like I said, local is best, but if you can't get local, then do your best about getting some online or friends around or local seed providers. Like I said, I'll be shooting you all some suggestions as far as online providers for seeds that I really like, and those links will be in the next couple videos. Stay tuned for that. Those are some good 5 tips. I wish I knew those back in the day when I was just getting started on doing my gardens. But yeah, this is fun stuff, super exciting. Spring's around the corner. Hey look, you can see the garden right through there. That's cool. Alright folks, see you next time on the Gardenguy channel, and let's have fun, keep on growing, keep sowing.